live.
Hello and welcome to the Thursday show here on the Frontline Gaming Network. My name is Paul Murphy, your host. I'm joined by Adam Camilleri.
Oh, hello there.
And Dustin Henshaw.
Hello, hello.
As you can see, I'm taking it a little casual today because I wanted my man Adam Camilleri's collar to stand out.
And that stash, that epic stash.
That picture's my brother. That's I just thought I wore to his wedding. It was a 70s theme wedding.
That's what you wore.
I pawn stashed up. I mean, all my brothers did. It was fantastic. I'll share a picture with you boys privately, but it was fantastic.
This is your weekly tournament rundown show where we talk about the biggest tournaments coming up over the weekend. And this is part 2 of our WTC coverage. I'm sorry that I missed last week. I was at Gen Con. Thanks a lot. Hopefully y'all came by and said what's up if you were near the booth. And, I'm happy to be back. I hope y'all miss me.
Oh, we always miss you, Paul. Whenever one of you guys is not here, it's always a little bit harder on the two that are remaining because you both bring something very unique to this podcast. It's obviously missed when you're not here. So welcome back.
Thank you very much. Look, if you're just joining us here on the Frontline Gaming Network, they got a bunch of stuff to offer. Go ahead and check out their website. Got the Summer Sweepstake Contest. Got the SoCal Open for 2022. There's all kind of stuff that is on the network you don't want to miss, including some other shows, some other amazing shows from other content creators. If you have not done so already, please check out the website and the content and the feeds. Welcome to the show. I think we just get right into it. I know we're starting a little bit late now. I apologize. We do this live. If you're just joining us, or if you're listening to us after the fact on the podcast aggregators, I want to appreciate that as well. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review, maybe a like, share, subscribe, leave some comments. But remind you, we have a pretty active chat community happening each and every week. Supporting each other, leaving comments, saying what's up. We really appreciate it. Let's do this.
Get right into it then.
In a team event.
Are we muted? Okay, we're going to talk here.
I know. So what I was mentioning, though, is team coverage, team events. We know Team Warhammer 40,000 is some of the highest level of Warhammer 40,000, and this is the tippy top of that, with people coming in from all over the world representing not only themselves, not only their personal hobby, but also their countries. And it is an awesome event. The people, and you could tell it brings the enthusiasm along with it.
So this year's WTC is the first one. They tried to put it on for the last 2 years, but naturally the state of the world, COVID being what it was, didn't allow them to. So everyone knows the ETC was the European Team Championship. There was a huge kind of what this event was held inside that larger convention. They split it out. They put it in there so it can be something unique and special, specifically to 40K. This is the first one ever. Whoever takes this one down is going to be immortalized as the first ever World Team Championship nation. It is 8-player teams from all across the world. So you go and you get your 8 best players, the guys who can go, the guys who are primed, the guys who are ready to rock and roll, and you send them to wherever it is in the world. Right now it's in Mechelen, Belgium, in the beautiful, I think it's Necrons. I've been hanging out there. It's just a massive hangar, and we're filling about a third of it because of how big it is. So there's a lot of room to grow. But quick and dirties, what are we saying?
Well, before we do that, I want to say what's up to Ewok Buddy, who's first timer in the chat. If anybody else has just joined us for the first time, please sound off. Let us know that you're there because we appreciate that. I said this is one of those things where we do this live, and we try to start around 9 Eastern every week. This time we're a little off, but we're still going to bring the heat.
I would like to apologize. I was a little not. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. I wasn't great.
We're in this together. It's a team.
He's still here.
We didn't start on time. It's our fault. We apologize. But let's talk about the stats. What are we going to see there?
Let's see. So again, because this is a team event and with 28 teams, you will not see any more than 28 of any single faction. So if you do see 28 of a single faction, that means every single team has taken that faction because they are limited to 1 codex per team. So the Imperial Super Faction, there's 1 Imperium, and this is why I brought up that current fact. There are 28 Sisters of Battle. Every single team has taken Sisters of Battle.
Hard not to. Just such a Swiss
to.
Army knife can just blank so many forces out there that you're going to encounter. Smart move by each team bringing them.
Absolutely. So 6 Custodes, 6 Admech, I'm saying it, Admech, 2 Astra Militarum, 5 Grey Knights, 11 Imperial Knights. In the Space Marines, there are 2 Dark Angels, 15 Blood Angels, 1 Salamander, 1 Iron Hand, and 1 Death Watch. So that's a total of 20 teams that took a Space Marine faction with them. The Chaos Super Faction, there are 14,000 Suns, there's 9 Death Guard, and 15 Renegade Knights. We talked about it before. We do find that Renegade Knights are just a little bit better in terms of differential for team events.
And that's on trend, especially what we've been seeing, with European events with the Death Guard and then the popularity of the Renegade Knights that we've seen throughout the whole world.
Yeah. Exactly. And the Xenos, there's 24 Necrons, so another really popular choice right now. Necrons, especially in the European meta, they're huge, so it's not too surprising to see that number high up there. Only 4 teams did not take them. 2 Orcs.
And yes, that probably is 24 Silent Kings. And 28 Bloody Roses on the episode.
I can tell you right now, boys, it is 28 out of 28 Bloody Rose, and I think it might be 22 or 23 out of 24 Silent Kings.
Ooh, it's close.
Oh, wow, okay, yeah.
Two people trying to change the meta there. There's also 2 Orcs and 16 Tau. The Hive Mind Super Factions, there's 24 Tyranids. Again, not surprising to see the Tyranids number up that high. They're just a solid faction overall. And when you have to pick 8 codexes, Tyranids is pretty easy to make the cut. There's still 3 Gs to the cult, too. Only 3, but still 3. So they're
we
really
can talk about that. What do you think they're bringing to the party after we get done with the factions?
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that if we get to the end of this. When we finish up here, we got the Eldari Super Faction here. 1 Eldari, 11 Drukhari, 13 Harlequins, and 11 Asurion, and 1 Ynnari, which means that is 25. 26, took the Eldari Codex. There's only 2 teams that don't have one form of the Eldari Codex with them.
Well, that means I love that you did that math better in that one moment than I did in the entire time prepping this, because I had it as 25. I forgot that.
It's all right. I got this. That means the faction podium is Sisters of Battle, topping it up. 28. Every single team took them. Then the Eldari is second with 26. And then Necrons and Tyranids tied in third with 24. And then Space Marines at 20. Tau at 16. The rest of them, there's a couple more higher up there, like, where was it?
Renegade Knights and T-Suns.
Yeah. Renegade Knights, Blood Angels. I mean, specifically, if we're going into more specifics there. But yeah, no, that's... Yeah, of course.
There's a hell of a lot to unpack in this. First and foremost, when it is 1 codex per, naturally all the Space Marines operating under the single core, kind of mother codex, and then having their sibling supplements, so to speak, you do find it becomes quite homogenous about upon which one will people rest their hopes and dreams. And usually all the teams kind of get into single file and line up behind the codex, the supplement that they think will give them the result that they need, or the style of play that they think they will reward them with the greatest differential and the greatest ability and pairings. There's no doubt anymore. Paul's been right all along. It's Blood Angels.
So there's a comment in the chat is that there are more G-Sealer cults than orcs. So
that's right.
With a resident expert here on the panel, why would that? What are they bringing to the table here, to the party, to the team element that may have caused that decision? Well,
it's only a difference of 1. Let's be real. Let's be honest. So I mean, as much as I wanted to completely more. That's true. 33% more is a pretty big difference. So, but GSC is actually a really good team list because of the differential that they bring. They're really good at denying points and they're really good at scoring their points right now. Orcs are not as good at the differential anymore. Orcs can still win games, but I feel like they're a little bit more unorthodox and a little more. It's not as guaranteed with them. Orcs are not as reliable. That's the word I'm looking for. Reliable to get the differential.
It's actually pretty interesting to see the comparison between the two because they operate on kind of similar mechanics. There's a lot of rock grinders with melee bombs in them, a la pretty similar to what you get from orcs. They can play a pressure role, they can play a bit of a cagey role, and it's in the cagey role where they differentiate themselves from the orc play pattern. The orc play pattern is to apply pressure, project threat, whereas there are armies that orcs can't actually do that against. There is a case in point is I think the Blood Angels we were just talking about. Armor of Contempt has put a bit of a cap and a bit of a ceiling on some of the results orc players can achieve, or that was the perception at least. I know I've talked to I think 3 of the big team captains, teams that are expected to do very, very well. I can tell you right now, the Australian team and the British team have both mentioned to me, that being Team England, that if they could have gone back and now that they've seen the terrain and they've seen the meta, they would have taken orcs because there's not quite as much Armor of Contempt being taken by teams. Like people were expecting in your 8-pack of lists to have seen half the lists be Armor of Contempt, a la 50-50 coin flip that your orc is just going to run into.
Death Guard, Thousand Suns, Chaos Space Marines, Blood Angels.
Sisters. Like there was the possibility that every half of a team was going to be a bad matchup for the orcs, whereas the GSC differentiate themselves that they can play into those matchups a little bit better, and even the ones where they have a negative matchup, they've got a better play pattern to fall back on of disengaging, existing where they're not, and still racking up a bunch of points. And that, to me, was the key indicator. But it was very telling that after the big team, some of the big keynote teams saw the layout of the land, saw the table, saw everything, they were like, wow, we could have taken orcs and it would have produced for us, they think.
That's impressive, and I actually am more curious about some of these factions that have taken a risk, they've taken a gamble, they've tried to play outside of the meta. Like I'm going to try to engineer matchups for myself that will be favorable by taking something that people might not expect. Ynnari being one of those types of things that we've seen kind of creep its way up into this, and you can see there's one Ynnari team represented here in the stack.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting. I suppose the Eldari breakdown. So for those of you who don't know, because Harlequins and Asuryani Ynnari all exist in the same codex, you can only take one of them to this event. Guarantee freaking teed people would be taking a Craft Worlds and a Harlequins in the same 8-pack if they could. I know that for a fact, but because they don't, there was a lot of consternation about which one was the correct pick for this event. Surprisingly, I was surprised to see more Harlequins than Asuryani. I thought I'd see a little bit less Harlequins than Asuryani, but I thought they'd still be quite high. But the fact that there is more, I thought was quite telling. There's also the Eldari list that is noted there is actually 50-50 Harlequins and Asuryani. We're going to run down that list a little bit later. And so, yeah, it's a super interesting event, boys. Tyrannies and Necrons both sitting at 24, as in like only 4 teams did not take them, is really telling as well for people thinking about how good a role they can play for you for different things. I think I've said in the past that it was looking like T-Suns was becoming the best, air quotes, defender list, as in the list that's least likely to get blown out by their opponent. But I think I was incorrect because I think Tyranids, from what people have been saying, the builds that they have and the ways that people have been telling me they plan to use their Tyrannies list, they seem like possibly the best defender in the game, as in the list that they're going to put up to deny people getting big scores or oppressively throw a blanket.
I'm just going to be tough, and I'm going to I'm going to play the scoreboard each and every turn, and there's very little you can do about it without overextending.
The primary saturation. The T-Suns have the better secondary game, but the fact is they are not fast. Despite what Duplicity brings to the table, compared to the to the Tyrannies. The Tyrannies can go first and oppressively saturate your ability to score primary, rather than which will more negatively impact the final score for people than the T-Suns going tit for tat secondaries and primary against you.
See, that's actually interesting to me that you're saying that Tyranids are more of a defender list of most of these teams too, because to me, Tyranids are an army that I think every single team will go in there like, every opponent's going to have Tyranids. We are going to have 2 lists ready to fight Tyranids. And I feel like having the Tyranids as a defender that way, they were going to put it out to deny those points. Most teams are going to have 2 ready to fight the Tyranids. Like they're going to have lists designed to fight that. Like that's interesting.
Well, mate, we're going to break down a couple of the keynote teams in a moment. Please point out where you think that Tyranid pin exists, or what list you think that they've optically got lined up for it. So perfect.
Let's jump into that. Let's start off with England here, with 2019 champions did take home the event.
Well, so
let's talk about what factions they have.
Yeah, so the most recent, I guess, equivalent to the WTC was the 2019 ETC that was held in Novi Sad, Serbia. England did take that home. Myself and my boys' team Australia played off against them for the win, ended up coming fourth, to our great chagrin. But the reigning champions are in attendance, and we're going to tell you what they're bringing. So their 8 lists comprise of, and I've just done synopsis of the guys for the list. We're not deep diving each 8 of each team list. This is not a thing we'd have time to do. But the first up is Tau. We've got a Tau Sept, Supreme Command, Double Patrol. It's essentially broken down to 2 commanders plus Shadow Sun, 2 Crisis Bombs, 2 Sunstrikes. That's the 2 Sunstrike Bombers, which have been taken.
Sharks, those are the planes, that we don't see all the time.
Yes, we are starting to see them a bit more, especially in this event. They seem to have become one of the units of choice, like taken the most in the Tau list. Then you've got Long Strike and a single Hammerhead, bringing that together. Next up, we have the Eldari list. This is the one I talked about, the 50-50 Light Harlequins Battalion, Hail of Doom, Asturiani Vanguard. So this is what's weird about this is that they lose traveling players. This list gives up its secondaries. As in, they can't take either the Harlequins or the Asturiani secondaries because it's not a traveling players list. It's a soup list, like true soup, and it also gives up its freaking fate dice. But in exchange, they're saying it brings Hail of Doom shooting with the reliable scoring from Harlequins, and we all think they're lying and that they messed up their list. But they're holding the party line, so we'll see if they get 5 or 6 wins out of it. We'll all shut up and they've cracked the code and they're geniuses. If not, we'll be fools. We'll see what happens. He's got 4 units of 5 troop in 4 boats. He's got 2 Shadow Weavers with, of course, a spam of Dire Avengers and 2 Wave Serpents, a bunch of Vipers. So it's pretty straightforward. It's built to score while having that, like I said, that reliable punch in the face core of Dire Avengers. The Necron list is expansionists and conquerors, of course. It's a auxiliary spearheads Supreme Command. The auxiliary is there to make sure they can take double Catan. But they've also got the Silent King, of course, 3 Annihilation Barges with MSU Tomblaze and 6 Scorpex. This list exists to hunt elves. The Annihilation Barges are extremely good against them at killing any unit that elves bring to the table. That
basically volume of shots. Just
exactly. Volume of strength 7. So any transport or any troop is just getting doubled out or wounded on 3s. The Imperial Knights list is a Free Blade Lance, which would take me. I actually tried to write down and explain what all the bits are, and I realized I was writing more for the Free Blade Lance at this one list than the rest of the team, so I deleted all of it. He's got a Paladin, 7 Warglaives in a 3-3-1 configuration, and then 3 Helverins in a double and a single.
What do you mean by that? Like all this, the various like honors and relics and things like that. They're stacking up here.
Yeah, because they're a Free Blade Lance, every unit in this, like every 3 Warglaives, takes its own unique trait. And because of that, it becomes extremely hard to quantify what it's going to do to you turn by turn, and also becomes extremely hard to explain. So, 2 of the Helverins, I believe, are the Slayers of Beasts, so they're good at wounding vehicles and monsters. Whereas the single Helverin, I can't remember what that one was because I didn't look, and I would have to look in the book and then come back to it and type it down.
Look, we have a lot of content to go through. And honestly, if this is the first time you're joining us, we normally do a bit of a deeper dive into the list, and we talk about how the choices may have matched up, or maybe what they were planning. But we're dealing more of the team capacity here, and some list choices were made specifically for the team environment. So we're going to try to run through some of the top level stuff, and then talk about the team's interactions, about maybe how they play into each other instead of maybe the individual unit choices.
Yeah, exactly right. It's just too hard to go into that level of nuance. We ain't got time. We have Tyranids. They've taken Kraken for their Tyranids list, but I'm here for Double Patrol. He's got Flyrant plus Swarmlord, which I think is an extremely good choice for Kraken when you can just turn on OBSEC or double OBSEC. Makes a big choice. He's got mini units of Warriors, 3 Biovores, 3 Pyrovores, with a Tyrannocyte, which usually totes around the Pyrovores, but does have some options. And then 3 fatty units of Raveners. That makes up that list. It's got some other bits and pieces, but that's where the core is.
I've seen a few players with those Raveners. And great effect. They shoot, they charge.
This is the more aggressive. I suppose if you wanted to make the comparison, the Leviathan list would be more akin to Dark Angels, where the Kraken's more akin to Blood Angels in the way it plays the game. It has more explosive.
I don't like the way you said that.
Fair. Next one, we have Chaos Knights, House Herpetrax, super heavy detachment, Desecrator, 2 Brigands, 2 Executioners, 6 Stalkers. So once again, one big, and that's 10 small. So pretty much exactly the same as the like the dark reflection of the Imperial list. Bloody Rose Sisters Battalion couldn't be more cookie cutter. Val and Celestine, 3 into Repentia, 3 into Zephyrim, 2 into 5 Retributors. It's all the Sisters lists are extremely similar at this event, and you'll find me taking the piss out of them consistently throughout this review. Blood Angels is up last. He's got a Patrol and a Vanguard. He's got Dante. He's got freaking Lamartis, which
Lamartis is the secret sauce here, and then you have to, as soon as you see Lamartis, you know that what's coming after that.
Absolutely right. 3 into Death Company, 3 assault squads, and 3 into Sangard. So he's gone the 3x3x3 of all the speedy aggressive units. What's the deal with the Death Company units, mate? I know what's up, but you know what they're there for?
Well, Forlorn Fury really is kind of one of the reasons you take them, but also all the secondaries. Like you can actually score a bunch of points just off whether you're killing or whether they're dying. You get points.
It's that Death Company secondary has been valued so highly in many of the Blood Angels builds. Just putting another unit or 2 in there, and then Lamartis to act as essentially the 4th Death Company unit because
he is a Death Company. Asterath, I believe, is the Death Company unit. Also, there's a lot of choices that one could make to feed into that secondary choice. So when you are playing for differentials, it's something to consider. I don't know that I would take it consistently in a singles list, but this is something to think about.
That's exactly right, brother. That's the consideration you make for teams. You want to have the most consistent and flexible ability to score a large minimum amount of points, be it a good matchup, bad matchup, or great matchup. And so people will go out of their way to take units like Death Company to give them a better average score across a multitude of different games. And so I'm here for it. But yeah, that's the team. That's the Team England list, boys. What do you make of them? Anything in particular jumping out to you, Dustin?
In particular? No, it's a solid team. Like they brought everything that's good. There's not a single list in here that doesn't scare me. So I mean, they know what they're doing, and there's a lot of good dichotomies in here. Again, we don't have time to really go into every single thing. I see a lot of things they're doing in here that's actually really good in the meta, especially in a team event. And this is why they're one of the top teams. It's just they know what they're doing here.
So there's a couple of choices in here that you wouldn't see in singles, like it's not a huge investment in a Death Company that you might not see in singles. The Annihilation Barges in the Necrons list, where you could go to an event and just play into Armor of Contempt, for 5 out of 5 games of a GT, where they do next to nothing for you. But here, when you can, ensure that out of the 7 games you may play, maybe 2 of them end up being against Armor of Contempt. That's 5 games where those things are going to pop off and do amazing amounts of work for you. If you talk about a list that actually all of a sudden is way better against things like Tyranids and GSC than it was before, those Annihilation Barges really do make an impact.
Chad's keeping me honest so that Asterath is not Death Company, so I really appreciate that. That is, I do appreciate coming in on and that's why I said an active community.
Yeah, but all these buffs are like for Death Company. Yeah, he buffs Death Company units.
Yeah,
makes him more angsty and angry.
Yeah, he does buff them.
The other thing to point out here is they took double knights. Now, there's been a lot of discussion because for those of you who don't know, you can go over to the WTC40k.com and you'll be able to look at the preset maps of terrain that you'll be playing on in whatever matchup you end up being upon, and they're pretty dense tables. They're quite dense for the number of terrain pieces and the distribution. None of the pieces are especially huge, but the pieces of terrain in your deployment zone are tall enough to entirely obscure a knight. So you can hide knights in your deployment zone for some safety, but it's somewhat impeded when you try and gain ingress up the board because you have to duck and weave through all these terrain pieces. So there's a bit of give and take. And so a lot of people have been fearing that one of their knight lists ends up on a good table, one of them ends up on a bad table. How do you boys feel about taking 2 of them in a unit of 8? Sorry, in a pack of 8.
I do think it forces to when you deploy them, and I don't mean deploy them on the tables, like when you send them out or offer them up as a choice
in the pairings process. You have to use them with some more consideration to that table pick, because one of them could get a good matchup on a bad table, the other one could get a bad matchup on a good table, and all of a sudden you've screwed them both essentially.
At the ATC, that was a big consideration of when do we put out the knights because of the way the tables were aligned, and that was just in a a 5-person tournament, so you probably have a little bit more flexibility, but it has to be on your mind. If it's not on your mind, you will make a misplay.
Yeah, I think the
Exactly.
flexibility that you're talking about here is in an eight-man team. I think if you're going to take one, you have to take two because one isn't enough. It's too hard to pair one night list well in an 8-man team. You need at least two to be able to do it properly, in my opinion.
Yeah, because if you got two, it's possible one of them gets a bad matchup, but then have they got two lists again they can use to pin and impede your ability to get a good matchup for the other one. Like, so one of them ends up on struggle street, but the other one ends up just clowning on somebody a lot of the time.
Well, that's the thing. When the night lists are actually one of the things that are well known for getting those 20-0s. So if you can get one of them in a good matchup, a bad matchup for a night list is still not that bad with the way they are right now, just because of all the obstacles the armatures have.
Correct.
I'm calling them all armatures as a general term. Sorry, guys, I'm not going.
We got it.
The smaller knights. So now that you can get one of them into like a 20-0 matchup, the other one getting like an 8, that's fine. Like that's exactly what you want.
Yeah. But once again, so the reason I poured out the knights is as analysts, guys, and we talk about this all the time. When I see things like this, where you've taken like double or triple skewed lists, I'm using air quotes again, it means that if this team feels like they are confident in their pairings process and they'll be able to use these tools well. I know in the team I'm playing for the mercenary team, we didn't take any knights, which shows kind of the fact that we're mercenaries and we got hugely confident.
Not confident in your pairing process. And
fine.
We'll be fine. We'll be fine.
Well, let's see what USA is bringing. Team USA is next one. We have
boys. Like this is these are some hometown hopefuls. There's a lot of people from that shit I'm on podcasts with, I'm on teams with, in representation here.
They did win the year before England won.
They did win. They're the 2018 champions for the WTC. Beating Australia, I was there. They beat us quite bloody in our matchup against them on their way to the victory, on the way to the first place podium. So I'm happy to have given them the little shove along. But they're starting off with Custodes. There's an Emperor's Chosen Patrol and a Vanguard. It's literally 3 Caladius and 6 Dreadnoughts. 3 of them are Achilles Dreadnoughts. 3 of them are Venerable Contemptors. This is what they took instead of taking a knight list. So they're like, well, what kind of knight-esque list can we take that's actually strong into the things that beats knights? Like sisters. This actual list is strong into sisters because it's all -1 damage. They'll still get an armor save or an invuln against things like Repentia, and they'll be winded on 5. So it brings all the same issues that it does, but it brings a little bit more ability to hide and play possibly a cagier game. It's a really clever list, and I watched it play a couple of games yesterday, and the gentleman on it is John Lennon. He's going to be a bit of a savage. They got Blood Angels as well, a Patrol and a Vanguard. Now this is a little bit juicier, Paul. I think you'll like this list. He's not taken the units of Death Company. I mean, I think you'll like it anyway, but he's not taking units of Death Company. He's actually gone for 5 Blade Guard with a 6-inch intervention Judicia in a freaking Impulsor. But in addition to that, he's got his 3 units of Sangard, 10 Vanguard veterans, and of course Dante to go along with the package. And so he's just like, well, what's the one tool Blood Angels don't have?
Yeah, that's it's fight last.
It's fights last. So he's gone out of his way to make sure he's just put that in his list with a good unit to support it.
See, I think that's a little bit of insurance, and which be curious to see how this plays out, because look, this is like living the dream. If you can line it up to where the Impulsor gets up, you're able to get out after it moves. You get everything right in position, and then you just collapse a flank with maybe just one unit. That's a real possibility.
So that's the kind of a bit of the issues, or we call about the ceiling on Blood Angels, is because you'll stick together, you'll Voltron up in the middle, move up into the middle of the table, project all your threat, but then when it comes time to split up and commit to the fight, you get exposed by your opponent's fights last, and interrupts can all hurt your plans quite horribly. But in this package, when one of the Voltron adding portions has a fights last that it's supporting, you can really act with a lot more security. At least I believe that's their thinking. But mind you, not taking enough Death Company to go for the secondary might come back to bite them. And I know I've heard the Americans talking about how that was a concerted choice, and I'm not sure if it was the right one. So we'll have to wait and see on that.
This is definitely a thought out plan. This is one of those lists. Is like, granted, it is a stellar action in a stout list with great players. We'll see how it actually plays into the list, because this is a choice. This is a bit of a gamble with adding the Blade Guard and the Impulsor in there.
Next up, we have a Mechanicus build, Cop Mechanicus. This is a Grippener. This is a Skitarii veteran cohort, a single battalion. You can just guess which HQs. It's the same as always, Martial, Dominus, Manipulus. Two big blocks of Rangers. That's right. 2 blocks of Rangers, 3 into Rustalkers, a big unit of 9, 2 units of 6, and 2 units of 5 Ballistari. That's pretty much the whole list. It's got a couple pieces of MSU around that. It's absolutely savage, this list.
I like the firepower of this. It hasn't gone anywhere, and especially when you get some influence over your matchups, this could absolutely dominate.
Yeah, 100%. We've got a Hail of Doom Eldari List up next, a Patrol and a Vanguard. Karandros and Baharoth, 2 Farseers, 3 units of 5 Windrise, 3 units of 10 of Dire Avengers as ad nauseum, which you should be taking now. There's some conglomeration of that. Pick the sliding scale that suits you. Still got 2 of 5 bands.
Love it. You've been absolutely impressed with Dire Avengers.
It is. It's nuts. And then it's got 3 single War Walkers, which I quite like. But yeah, this is just a great all-rounder MSU Eldari build. Next up, they've got a Tyranids, a Leviathan, a Battalion and Patrol, Flyrant and a Walkrant, 3x6 warriors and a unit of 9, and the 2 units of Zoanthropes. It's just oops all warriors. I should have just written that because
number 1. Sorry, no, go ahead.
This is what I meant about that defender. It's a defender by dint of chonk, of the amount of wounds, toughness, and like durability that you can just spam out. 3 into what is that? 3 into 6 warriors is 18 plus 9. So 27 warriors. That's a lot of work. That's a lot.
I was gonna say that no one calls it a Walkrant.
That's true.
No, I think I've heard it called a couple times. I hate that though. I think it's a silly way to call it.
Does anyone out there call it a Walkrant?
I'll just call it a. If I'm going to write,
calls it a Walkrant? Come on.
If I called it Flyrant and Hive Tyrant, how are people going to know that there's not a Flyrant?
Just say a Tyrant. Say a Tyrant.
A Flyrant and a Tyrant. A Flyrant and a Tyrant walk into a bar, and the guy's like, "Where's your wings?" And he's like, "I don't have any."
You are exactly right. You painted a picture. We all knew exactly what you were talking about.
Thank you for all the Aussie support in the chat. Necrons, he's got naturally it's Conquerors and Expansionists. This is a double Catan build. A bunch of Scorpex and Race. This is a far more melee build than we're used to. He's got 3 minions, Scarabs, and 3 Tomb Blades with the Silent King, 3 into Race, 2 into Scorpex, so 5 melee bombs in addition to the Silent King and Transcendent Catan. I like this build quite a lot. Then we've got a Tower Set Patrol Supreme Command, double commander, 1 being Cold Star, 1 being a Crisis, a 5-man and a 4-man Crisis bombs, 2 Sun Sharks again,
and nailed it though. Like the Sun Sharks are here.
Mm-hmm. They are here, man, and they're here to go in concert with Long Strike and another Hammerhead. So you got 2 Sun Strikes and essentially 2 Hammerheads, 1 being Long Strike with 2 Crisis Bombs and 2 Commanders. Essentially, it's two of all the good stuff. So we might be just calling this list just Tower Good Stuff, come Monday. Last we have Sisters of Bloody Rose, Sisters of Battle. It's literally all the same. It's 2x10 Retributors and a Castigator are the only differentiators between this and every other Bloody Rose list, which has become the American flavor, by the way. The 2 big blocks of Retributors has really been like the American adoption, the American version of that list, which I think is quite interesting. But here we are, boys. That's the 8-pack. Hand pass to Dustin first for the hot takes.
I always love this list too. The Custodes is good for instead of doing the double knights, having 1 Custodes is fine because they don't have as many like ridiculously bad matchups, but they still have the same good matchups that a lot of the knight lists would. So it's a good replacement for having the 2 different knight lists. It's not as much of a bully because you don't have the 2 of them, but I think it's a perfect addition to that. Obviously, Blood Angels, everything in here, and I know who's piloting the AdMech, so it's gonna be that's the only one that people would look at and say, "Oh, they took AdMech. Well, that's risky." No, it's not. It's really not. What do you think, Paul?
Oh no, completely agree with that. And there's actually there's been a lot of support for the Walkrant in the chat. So
why? Yeah. It's such a stupid name.
They're kicking your butts. They're all backing me.
Oh God, that is such a.
Dude, we support. Look, if you want to call it Walkrant, it's cool. I'm just saying it. It's just y'all that do it.
Do we call every single infantry in the game a walk of whatever it is, like a walk Vengers and walk Scorpion? Oh God!
Well, so it'd be the Demon Prince is the only comparison, yeah. A Fly Prince and a Walk Prince. A Walk Prince and a Fly Prince.
Yeah. You guys call it a walk Prince. I'm calling Walk Princes from now on. Every time I see a Demon Prince without wings, it's a Walk Prince from now on. That's
the Walk
it.
Prince. It's not a Demon Prince without wings.
That's not a Demon Prince without wings. It's just a Walk Prince. That's it.
But as for the differentiators for this between the English list, of course, no double knights. They've gone for a single custodians instead. A little bit different on the Blood Angels. Like 500 points difference between there, but mostly the same. The addition of the AdMech has been a really interesting one to quantify. It's pretty much been AdMech if you had the player, because AdMech is a really order of operations, really action intensive army. Like
when to use the mechanicals and all that kind of stuff, like precision.
I think that's the same as like most of the orc list, the GSC list. Like you need they're good armies, but you have to have a dedicated player to play them.
Exactly right. You have to have the player. But I've noticed that if you have the player, everyone's taken them if they have the player. Sweden being another great example. They've taken a pretty similar list to this one, and it's going to do great. In my team, I was just like, have we got an AdMech player? Because if we do, we should take it, because they're that good if you've got a faction specialist. Because guess what? Everyone has still forgotten. They've still forgotten that how the absolute freaking brutality they can set upon you. It's
Iron
quite
Striders got the core back.
Oh, dude, it's terrifying. You talk about it's actually what's crazy is it's actually quite similar to the Tower lists. There's actually a good similarity between them and the Tower lists. You talk about what multiple hammerheads and crisis suits bring to the army. Well, Ranger blocks and Ballistari is like the other side of that coin. They do very similar things: oppressive firepower from range, and on a multitude of different good profiles. I wouldn't have been surprised to see double flyer in the AdMech builds as well, because I think their flyers are still fine. But why not take more Ballistari, right? Where are you going to take the points from? But yeah, this is another phenomenally good team.
Let's jump to Poland, and then after Poland, we'll run down just the nations that we know are battling each other in round one, and then at the end of all this, if you're just joining us, we have a palate cleanser we call the Flaga Rapido. You're not going to want to miss it. I think let's take a quick break here for station identification, and then we'll come back talk about Poland, and then that cool thing at the end.
Cool. At Frontline Gaming, we make the best tabletop gaming mats in the universe. Our mats are durable, rollable, foldable, wipeable, and storable. Oh, and they look damn great too. Join the thousands of tournament regulars and garage gamers who use our mats to bring their gaming surfaces to life. To ensure quality, Frontline Gaming mats are custom made one at a time, printed with high quality ink. Our immersive designs stay crisp and are available in a wide range of styles and sizes. So whether you're playing a war game or a skirmish game, whether you're fighting over an alien tundra, fantastical forest, or real-world setting, there's a great-looking battlefield for you. Our gaming mats are printed on extremely durable neoprene backing, so they won't slide around the table, and they're thick enough to stay flat, protecting what's underneath and allowing for slight uneven surfaces. We know from experience that an easily portable gaming surface is just better. Every mat comes with a sturdy nylon zip-up bag for storage and transportation. Whether your next battle is in your home or at the local game store, you'll be able to unroll your FLG mat and get gaming right away. Our products are all made and tested by passionate gamers at Frontline Gaming HQ right here in the USA. It's time to take your battlefield to a new level. Frontline Gaming, champions of tabletop.
There was the handshake. You love to see it. Let's talk about Poland, another heavy hitter contender here at this event.
So of course, with a large amount of our listener base being from the USA, I had to do the USA team. I had to do the most recent champions in England, and then I had to do the most successful international team of all time. Team Poland has got more podiums, more first place finishes than most other nations put together, and so we're here to tell you. It's a very good indication about what Europe thinks is good, and if Poland is a nation dedicated to their national team. It's a phenomenal sight. So they're essentially, if they had an internal ITC season, if their tournament season is designed to show them who to take to this, the entire purpose of their season is to qualify.
Is there a Bloody Rose
team? Damn straight. Well, there's 28 Bloody Rose lists, mate. So of course there's.
There is. Just want to make sure
I thought it was good.
What did I write for this one? I wrote some funny stuff on this one. So Harlequins is up first. They've got a light battalion in patrol, and it's oops, all troop in boats. There's literally 8 units of 5 troop in 8 boats.
I like that. I actually do like that because you can look at it. It's very consistent. You have you have tools. You know what your tools can do, and you've actually reduced your brain power that your thinking meat that you've got to use.
It's there for a very specific purpose, and there's no hiding or pretending it's there for anything else. Like, it's there to just grab a bunch of points and do some chip damage where it needs to. It's going to be extremely good at it.
Fatigue is something we'll talk about team turns in general, but if you can your failure points, your decision points, reduce them along the way, make them easier for yourself, then your team has a much better chance of success because you have much.
Well, you're absolutely right, mate. And the format has changed a little bit for this first WTC. It's 7 rounds, so it's 3 days, seven rounds. Everyone plays 7 rounds, and it's 3 games day 1, 4-hour rounds a piece. Because of course they're putting in the pairings process and then a bit of extra time in addition because can be a very cagey game. And so today for me, when this finishes, I'm going to have 3 4-hour rounds of 40k. I'm going to be starting at 8:30 in the morning. I'm going to be finishing at 10:30 at night. So you damn straight fatigue is a thing, man. Imperial Knights is the next of the 8-pack here. They're playing Noble Combatants as the custom household, but they've also got a super heavy auxiliary because you can take one that counts as agents of the Imperium, so it doesn't break it. And that one is Hunters of Beasts. That's the one there to kill monsters and vehicles. I think this is very cleverly put together.
I actually didn't even know that was a thing. That is clever. Mm-hmm. That is very clever.
Very clever. So they've put their own little super heavy auxiliary in there into their Knights list. So they have an errant, 2x3 Warglaves, 2 Moirax, 3 Helverins, and those 3 Helverins are the Hunters of Beasts. They're there to lay the smackdown.
What you meant to say is 2 Walklaves, 2 walk reacts.
Oh my God, Paul!
3 walk reacts.
Oh, God. You know what? If we're calling a walk rate, I'm down. Everything that's on foot is just a walk it, whatever. Now, let's go. Let's go. You guys wanted this. This is what it is now.
So, let me give us the next one. Is the Depth of Story Toss, the Bloody Rose. There's a lot of retributors in here, a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm having a prophetic vision is what I've written down here. It's Val, 3 units of Zephs and Repentia. But wait, it's 3 units of 5 Retributors and Celestine. So
it's a great list. There's no slide on them for taking it, by the way. You're taking this for points.
It's not.
Great list. It does well in singles. It's going to do well in the teams. No issues there. But they are.
I really think of all the lists in the game right now, the fact that I'm taking the Mickey only out of the sisters just shows that of all the lists in the meta, they're like the most air quotes solved faction. Like, is what we would say. They got Renegade Knights, House Herpatrax, 2 super heavy detachments, 3 Stalkers, so 4 Stalkers, 1-2-1, 1 Huntsman, 1-1-2 Carnivores, a single Huntsman. And then 2 Executioners. I think that other Huntsman might be a typo.
So that's just a bunch of the the War Dogs.
No bigs, all smalls, man. All smalls.
Yeah, that is one way of doing it. Yeah, let's see how that works out.
Yep, then he's got they've got Tyranids, Leviathan Battalion. This is oops, all warriors. Like, not even a flyrant. They do not even have a flyrant. It is just 4 units of. It's just 4 units of 9 warriors and support. That's it. That's the list.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. It is very interesting. We'll unpack it in a minute. Necrons List, of course, Expansions and Conquerors again, Outright and Supreme Command. So for one of the few double detachment Necron lists, rather than a lot of time they take a triple. 3/3/5 Toonblades, 2 units of Scorpex, 9 Praetorians, which I found is the spicy differentiator there. 2 units of 3 Scarabs, 2 units of 7 Destroyers, that being the max size unit. 6 Locusts with the heavy destroyer, and then of course the Silent King. But it's actually a little bit off the beaten path with that list as well. And then we've got Drakari, which is Artists of Flesh, Cursed Blades, which I can't even remember what they do. Triple
What's
Patrol.
old is new again.
I know, man. 3 units of Grotesques, 10 Hellions, 2 units of 10 Corsair Void Reavers. So that is the Corsair Elite's choice, I believe. It might be a troop's choice. But yeah, 2 units of 10 of them. And then it's just got MSU racks and some transports.
I wonder if the Hellions are there because they know everyone else is taking these Sun Sharks.
Yes, that's exactly right. They need. If he didn't have them, they couldn't interact with any planes. Like, planes will just make that matchup automatically bad. So it's actually is quite clever. He's chucked him in right. Good read on the meta. And then we've got a Tau Set Patrol and Supreme Command, a single Crisis Commander, 2 Hammerheads plus Long Strike, so 3 total Hammerheads, 2 Sun Sharks once again, a single unit of 5 crisis suits, and that's the 8-pack from the Polish team.
Yeah, I mean, I like how you said that this is a team that knows what they're doing, distilled down, uh, focused on this event, and you can tell there's some choices have been made because different, a little bit different than the first two lists that we read out, or the
Yeah,
first two teams we read out.
like a perfect word there is focused. It really almost you can almost write next to what their role in the pairings process is. They're so single-minded in their purpose. It's like the Renegade Knights and the Harlequins, and the Tyranids being the ones that slap me in the face. Like, oops, all warriors. What do you think of that, Dustin?
I think it's like you said, it's exactly outlining exactly what it's there for, because the Flyrant is amazing. It kills stuff. But this list is not here to kill stuff. It's here to get points. You know what gets points? Warriors. Lots and lots of warriors. So that's what it's here for.
That would be like just oppressive to look at on the other side of the table. Yeah. What I'm gonna do my whole round and probably kill 3 warriors or something.
Yes,
probably.
Yes. Oh, and you play
if
on
you
it.
even see him.
You play on one of the heavy tables. Like, my God, like he does it, and like he just plays cagey for 2 or 3 turns, and then turn 3, 4 into 9 warriors start coming at you. And you're like, well, I'm out of time to kill any of this. Like, it's actually insane. And it's like I said, it's the other side of the coin to the Harlequins list. The Harlequins list is just 8 boats just going to speed and buzz around every time you pop one. 5 guys get out that could just they could spend a bunch of CP and punch you in the face, or just run away and hold some objectives. It's really kind of cool. And then the last one I want to point out was how focused and specific that Renegade Knights build is. It's all smalls. I do not think it's actually a typo. I think it's the other attachment has the single huntsman and the 2 executions in it. And the fact that he's gone for a lot of really small squads to not. That makes me think that this is a list set up for heavy table pick, to be picked on heavy tables. He's got all the small selections, no big units that are gonna, because they all have to be deployed together. If you take 3, if they take 3 armigers, they all have to be deployed together, and then they act separately after deployment. Whereas you take all the small squads, they can be really spread out, really sprinkled around. They don't get in each other's way anywhere as near. Like, you have 3 armigers that get deployed, because especially in the deployment phase, you get 3 armigers that go down the table, and like, well, I know exactly where all 3 of those can go on these tables. In the first 2 turns, it's very plottable. You'd be like, well, I just stay away.
Yeah, that's the thing. It helps you like not get out deployed every game.
Yes, exactly right. Exactly, that's spot on, boys. I think this is a beautiful example of a well-tuned, well-oiled machine, Polish machine in action. I love it.
So let's talk about. So I guess the round 1, people know who they're playing. They're paired up against in round 1, which is cool. I actually like knowing that too, because you can do a little bit of plotting and planning and all the, like, it makes the night before really exciting. So let's give a little teaser at that.
Yes.
Before we get to the Fuego Rapido.
So you went here so we added this one in, and I think there's something, we'll see how this goes, but we might do this for when we're doing the coverage of a single event, like an LVO level event.
I love these. I love these events.
And we have the spicy round 1 matchups. We like to unpack them and talk about it a bit. This might be the 3rd section we put in when we're covering a single event. This first round matchup, and I'm doing a little fan service here, it is Scotland versus Spain. Scotland are feeling a lot of brand new players. I think they have 3 or 4 of their 8 players are seasoned veterans, and then 4 are brand new. A lot of countries discovered new players over COVID. Lost some players to babies, kids, promotions, demotions, whatever. And yeah, a lot of, so they went out and they crafted and they found new players over. TTS uncovered a bunch of them as well. And so instead of what we did in the previous one, I've just given one word synopsis of the list there. So Team Scotland, their 8-pack looks as thus. They have the Agrippina list. Essentially, it's exactly the same. Big blocks with counter assault and ballistari. They have Tyranids, Leviathan. It's just a Leviathan good stuff build. Renegade Knights, House Herpatrax with 1 big knight.
It's popular choice is what it seems like.
Mm-hmm. Very popular. 1 big knight, 10 small knights, Blood Angels, exactly what you'd expect, plus the big Centurion list that our man Stephen Boxfield at BAO has been added into that one to make it.
And look, no shame in like, you see somebody use some tech, it was successful, save some time, use that tech. That's part of the reason we do this kind of thing.
Exactly right, man.
List teching, list sharing, completely cool.
So if the singles happened, the singles of the WTC just happened yesterday. My man Liam Hackett won, an Aussie won it. Aussie, by the way, it's really freaking good. good feeling. He played against Jaime Paris on for the final table, and Jaime up there on the podium just said, "I'd like to thank David Gaylard for I used his list. I tweaked like 100 points," and so he played that in the singles. Of
Do it. Saves
the
time. This is
internationals.
a time intensive game. Like I like if it not that we this is what this segment's about, but we encourage you. Like if you see a list you like,
Man, if it ain't broke, you don't need to mess with it, right? Then they've got Asuryani, Hail of Doom, literally nothing unexpected in this list. Imperial Knights, they've got a Tyrannus build of 2 bigs and 7 smalls. Then we have Sisters of Battle, Bloody Rose. It's exactly what you'd expect. It's enough said. And Drakari, which is extra MSU. I think if I remember right, this is 5 or 6 Venoms and this make up most of this build.
So I don't mind that. Talking about consistency,
exactly.
It is just gonna. They have a small profile. You can do things with it, no problems. What's the next team?
And then they're versing Spain. Spain is once again they got Sisters Battle as well. But their Sisters Battle list is the spiciest one of the entire event. They've taken a super heavy auxiliary of 3 blade Helverins with the Hunters of Beasts instead of Retributors. I think that's a really interesting pick. So they specifically they can't take any other Imperial Knights if you take the Renegade, if they take the Knights in any other list, you can't take them. So instead taking Knights as their own army, they think they add more to the Sisters of Battle list.
That's interesting. We've seen that a little bit in Chaos too. Like, Nurgle will throw a Knight in or 2 or so. Interesting, interesting choice.
Very spicy. Their Renegade Knights list is House Vectrix, which is 2 bigs and 7 smalls. The Asuryani list is Children of Prophecy and Vengeful, which I think is a very heavy. It makes it more of an MSU melee build. They're very psychic heavy, very heavy MSU. I think it's 3 units of Banshees, Tunes of Scorpions, and I think like 3 or 4 freaking Psychers. They've got Tyranids, which is a Kraken build, which it has got many Raveners and 2 Harpies. I think that's 15. 3 units of 5.
Solid choice.
The first T-Suns build we've actually talked about. There's got Cult of Duplicity with Scarab Occults and just the rest. It's a pretty standard there. A Cestia Sept Tau build, guys. And this is Oops All Crisis Suits. This guy just didn't get the memo and still took 3 units of 5. 3 units of 5 Crisis Suits. Turns out if you lean all the way in, you can still get it. And I actually think it's freaking scary. Grey Knights got a Rapier's Grey Knights army with just 30 Interceptors, and I think it's 3 Dread Knights, like 2 regulars and 1 Grandmaster.
Nice.
Then a Necrons Expansionist Conquerors, a Silent King, obviously, and double Catan. And that makes up that archetype. So yeah, those 2 verse each other's. Anything stand out that you think is going to give one team an edge over the other? Any pins that are applicable or jump out to you? What are your hot takes?
Yeah, Dustin, what do you think?
I've been looking at the whole time, thinking about this while you've been talking, because I wanted to see if I could give any kind of hot takes here. And I think both of these teams are solid. Obviously, they both have really good lists out there. And I think if I had to think, what are the main differences? Drakari on Scotland as well as Admech, and then instead of that, they have the Grey Knights and
Grey Knights. Yeah.
Let's call the push. What's going out first on these lists?
Oh, you want to go? That's
call the push.
Have they both got double Knights? No, it's single Knights for the because of course they don't. Single
Knights with little Knights.
Yeah. So
Spain is definitely not putting out those Knights first. Then
no,
there's no way.
No, that's been held. I wouldn't be surprised if it was the Agrippina list goes out first for Scotland. As a good defender, because they take a good table pick and then they're pretty good no matter what happens. Also, Sisters is always a good put up because they've got very level scoring, and very few teams have a pin that they can use against them that doesn't like get exposed for lacking or can get them twinning down the track. I mean, there's a double Catan list for the Necrons, which does make them quite good into the Sisters, but then you're possibly wasting your Necrons into the Sisters when they could go and get a far easier win elsewhere. It's actually really not apparent. It's not actually slapping me in the face. What's going up first? It might just be
it is the Renegade Knights.
I was going to say, so I was about to say the Imperial Knights because it's Tyrannus. Tyrannus is when I say Tyrannus, I think shooting Knights. And if they're shooting Knights, they need table pick. They can't end up on a dense table. So it might just be, well, you're right, Paul. It's almost certainly one of the Knight builds. So what's going up first for the Spanish, you think?
Thousand Suns.
Obviously, right?
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious.
You don't think the Thousand Suns need a little bit of help to maybe?
I think the Thousand Suns can take away a heavy table.
When they've got the table pick, I think Thousand Suns can go up just about anywhere and get decent amount of points.
You got it.
Yeah. If they were forced to play on a light table, absolutely they could get exposed. Surprisingly, the Grey Knights isn't a bad put up on when they get table pick, because they can always default to a heavy table and then just have 6 units of interceptors to play the game with.
I feel like the Grey Knights actually have a little bit easier time if it is more open, which is hard. It's weird to say because Thousand Suns are technically a bit more durable, but I think the Grey Knights can reliably hide most of their stuff a little bit easier, and they have better mobility than the Thousand Suns do, so
Exactly
it doesn't matter as much.
Really interesting one I didn't point out before: the Spanish Asuriani list, the essentially merely what I call the merely trading version of Asuriani, is a really interesting choice, and it's kind of pretty tit for tat with the Drukhari, right? They're both merely trading esque builds.
Which one? Are you talking about the Asuriani one?
Yeah, the Asuriani, the Children of Prophecy and Vengeful.
See, it is, but I feel like the Asuriani has the edge in that matchup because the Psychic makes it a lot better to purse those kind of things down. The Psychic, it's another phase they get to play that the Drukhari don't have access to.
Spot on. And then the other one that might just want table pick would be the Cecilia Tau Sept, the 15 Crisis. Wow. It's just like, cool.
That one's actually scary.
Dude, it's a gut check list. It's going to be like, ooh, do you have the exact perfect profiles to crack 3 of these bombs? Oh, you don't? Well, struggle street. Let's see how you go, brother.
We can actually do this now between these two teams. Who do you think has the edge? Who do you think is going to come out on top of this?
So Spain is touted as being when a lot of the teams will congregate and they'll talk about who's a top 5 team, who's a top 10 team this year, and year by year it'll change depending on how strong, how good their last 12 months were, etc. Who's in attendance, who didn't come this year, etc. It's pretty accepted that Spain should win this round on the strength of their team and experience, and I think of the last 12 months, the Scottish last 12 months has been a little bit more disrupted than the Spanish, and sometimes you do have to just quantify it down to literally how many players each team has to pick from. Like I think the population density of these two nations are very different. So I'm thinking Spain's going to win this.
Okay. When I look at it, I want to make sure I look at it just from a list perspective alone, because we're not looking at the players here either. So if I look at list alone, I do think the Spain lists have a bit of an edge. Like that Thousand Sun list, the Grey Knights, and even the Asuriani list, I think actually pair very well into the Scotland list.
Yeah, exactly right. I think they pair quite well.
But it'll be an amazing match. Scotland's a great team too, so these are going to be great games.
Well, we're running short on time, so we got to jump to the next set of teams, and, of course, and get through, at least briefly what their factions represent.
Needs to get some sleep.
Yes. The next spicy matchup we have for you guys is Norway versus Germany. Now, this is probably the biggest matchup of round one, apart from the Belgium versus Poland matchup that's also going to be happening. So those are the 2 matchups to watch if you're at home tracking this on BCP, which you can do, and thanks to BCP for sponsoring that. The Norway lists sit as thus: Thousand Suns, Cult of Duplicity, 20 Scarab, Terminators, and freaking Magnus.
Nice.
Wowie.
He's going to show up sooner or later.
Oh, yeah. It feels like half of them took Magnus. I don't think half of them did take Magnus, but there are quite a few that did. They've got a Leviathan, good stuff build from Tyranids, Sister Battle, good stuff. Pretty much as expected, but their list has Drukhari Dracus in it for a little bit of fights last. They've got an Asuriani Hail of Doom build with no surprises. Necrons with no surprises. Double Catan, double Doom Scythe. But they also took 20 warrior, one brick of 20 warriors in there, which I thought was the interesting differentiator. Renegade Knights, House Serpatrax, 1 big, 10 small. A Tau Sept list, 2 Crisis Bombs, Long Strike, 2 Hammerheads. That's literally what we have seen from everybody pretty much. And then Blood Angels, good stuff, what you'd expect. So this is pretty same but different to much of what we've seen.
Yeah, that's okay. Solid teams, solid
exactly
list.
Right.
Going to play well in the field. I mean, even if the field's the same, it's just if you match it up and know your armor, you'll be all right.
Spot on. They're playing into Germany, which are touted as being quite a strong team this year. I was watching practice games of the Germans playing against the Americans yesterday, and they were holding 10, doing quite well. They were trading wins back and forth on a couple of different tables. They've got Necrons, expansions of Contras, double Catan, double Doom Scythe, so literally the same as, apart from a difference in 20 warriors, it's pretty much exactly the same as the Norway build. that we just read out. They've got GSC, my dude, Dustin.
Yeah.
Industrial Affinity, Accustomed to Turmoil, Synaptic Resonance, and War Convoy. Because just to make it harder, my job harder, right? They're like, let's mess with Adam. Let's throw it in every word here. 2 max blocks of Neophytes, MSU Acolytes, and Hybrid Metamorphs, and 3 Rock Grinders make up the majority of that build.
I like all these transports we're seeing. That is that is
Mm-hmm.
basically some insurance. Is like, can you get through my transports? Some armies can't. At least not in the earlier turns with the terrain
That's true.
density.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly right. Next up, we've got Death Guards. But the first Death Guard list we've read out. This is Ferryman, and I think this is the 45 Plague Marine build with the
That's just all the
Fleshmaulers.
fight last.
Yeah.
We got the fight last aura. You're gonna have to come into us, and you're not gonna like it.
Exactly right, and of course they're just getting a huge amount of value on all those free weapon Plague Marines. Drakari with double Void Raven, 6 Chronos, and 2 Ravagers. So actually a bit more of a Daka build. It's very heavy on the Dark Technomancers, if I remember correctly. Sisters of Battle, it's literally the same as everybody else's Sisters of Battle.
Yep.
Halo Doom, literally the same as everyone else's Halo Doom.
Yep.
And Leviathan, it is Oops or Smites. This is a psychic powerhouse Leviathan build.
I like it.
Min-maxing out the Neurothropes and the Zoanthropes. This is actually going to be a very unique issue for teams to try and negotiate, because where you have, oh cool, I'm going to go and churn in melee against a bunch of warriors, you're just going to get absolutely destroyed by smite upon smite upon smite. It's actually a really unique build. I like it. And then last one, we have a Farsight Enclaves, triple Hammerhead, double Sunshark, double Ghost Keel build.
The interesting thing, the Ghost Keels here. That's the difference, and they're they do a little work.
I don't get the Ghost Keels, but fair. I mean, it's not going to be bad. I just don't understand.
A lot of shots. You put some drones on them. They actually can punch a little bit. Like it's not. They can pull double duty.
They start up the board, so they're much more of an activator for all the Farsight builds because they get closer, more impactful.
Yeah, if you actually listen to like the Germany teams, I guess actually it's in German, so you guys might not listen to it. But anyway, if you listen to those and you can speak German, then you actually can hear like some of the thought process a lot, because they like the forward deployment to be able to deny a lot of other forward deployments. It's an important part of a lot of strategies. So if you can deny that for some things, like it's a big deal.
But let's call the push here before we get to the last bit of our show here.
For this one, I think it's the Death Guard is the obvious up for the German team, right?
Yeah, and no bad matchups for that.
They just can't get blown out. No one's going to blow them out of the water.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, that's the only one that slaps me in the face. The Tyranids even might not want to be up early, just in case your opponent has a Grey Knights list.
Oh no, definitely not early. They're going to be a defender, but not an early defender. They're going to be like a third defender.
Second or third, that's right.
Yeah.
What do we think Norway's got up first? They do have Magnus, and Magnus does make things wonky. Like the last thing
Blood
you want...
Angels.
Really?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they got Blood Angels. They do have Tyranids. They do have... Yeah.
Tyranids is always a safe pick, but
yeah,
I think
looking at the list on the other side, I don't think that there's 2 lists that necessarily want to go into that.
That's true. It's true.
Against the Blood Angels, what would they do into that if you did? You can't put the Drakari in; they'll just eat it all.
So they'll put one strong and one weaker in comparison, weaker in the matchup list out.
You think they'll bust them? They'll be like, oh, he's put somebody under the bus.
Certainly they'll pick the other side, but then the Blood Angel player could pick the strong one and suck that out of the pool.
Well, you're actually right. There isn't an amazing pin for the Blood Angels if they were to go up early. What are they going to do? Offer you their sisters, and then risk the sisters not getting a bigger win?
Sisters aren't
somebody
doing
else.
They're not going to that for sure.
No, there's no way. It's too big a risk. Necrons do okay. Necrons don't do too bad, but they've got double Catan, double Doom Scythe, which isn't incredible into Blood Angels. It's much better into other stuff.
Funny enough, you might want to keep the Death Guard back against this and put the Death Guard against them. Because I think the Blood Angels don't want to fight the Death Guard. I think you put the Death Guard into what you actually want them to fight against them.
Yeah, it could be right. Look, this is going to be an exciting tournament. You definitely should, if you can, tune in, see what's happening, follow it in BCP, check out the coverage of the weekend. There's going to be some top level Warhammer 40,000. Going to be a lot of enthusiasm, people rooting for things.
Are we all taking our default picks? Paul's going for the Americans, Dustin's going for the Canadians, I'm going for the Aussies.
Yeah, well, I'm 100% rooting for the Americans in this.
Well, you're 100% incorrect because the Aussies are going to win.
Canada's going to win something.
Well, there was 2 Aussies in the top 4 of the singles, right? There was 0
That's
Americans.
strong.
What happened?
That's strong.
What
That
happened?
is strong.
I mean, they didn't play.
Hey,
What
we had the Canadian top 6. Sam, buddy.
happened? Dude, Sam did
That's
amazingly. Yeah,
Blood Angel player, no
Blood
less.
Angel player, Paul. Yeah, did really, really, really
Nice.
well. But
Well,
once
look,
again, Aussie,
we're
Aussie,
about to
Aussie.
get to the segment. No, and congratulations to the folks that did it in the singles. I mean, that's you go and you play a tournament before a tournament. Absolutely cool. So this is a segment of the show we call the Fuego Rapido. We give ourselves 2 minutes to run down a series of topics. These topics sometimes have a theme. Sometimes they are Warhammer related. Sometimes they are not. This is we give ourselves 2 minutes to give us the hottest takes on whatever the question is, whatever the topic is, and then once that 2 minutes are over, we stop, move on to the next topic, never to return.
Only sometimes.
Emphasizes it more and more every week.
Yeah, only
Production
sometimes
actually
we-
comes in
Yeah.
and reads these off, and then we fire off some responses.
Yeah, I wanted to say that French War Game is the streaming team that's
Oh,
at
of course.
WTC. So everyone
Nice.
go support those guys and watch the French team.
So I'll let you guys know about that. There wasn't going to be a stream, and then because just a lot of different compounding factors, which I'll unpack one day over a cup of tea with somebody if you really want to know. But the French community came together and crowdfunded that stream. So everybody in that chat, when you go into that chat, thank the French community, because without them, there would be no stream. So thank you very much for those gentlemen for putting it on. It makes all the difference.
Bravo. Anywho, Paul, the theme of the Fuego today.
I
Got
don't try to look at the questions, but
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
a hard one. What is this?
I'm
It's
not
about
even looking at them. I can't read this. This writing on my screen is too small, so
Oh, sorry.
I don't look at it.
what
No,
is
that's
the
not.
theme
That's
of
not you.
this?
I have it minimized. Like really.
All right, I'm just
I
gonna.
have
go.
4 things up.
Everyone,
Come on.
everyone's
Just
like,
jump
it's
in.
like 4 a.m. where Adam is. Let's just go. Okay.
Send it.
All right.
What WTC team wins an eating competition?
Which team? Ooh.
That's that's got to be Germany, right?
What?
Yeah,
Why
yeah,
Germany?
they do pretty well. I mean,
What?
so I many
You seen
on-
those guys? They're
in many
like fit.
in many past years, I would say like in England and America, but not these ones. Like the Americans this year, are pretty diminutive lads by comparison.
No,
to
I don't
usually
mean
is.
no. Look at competitive eaters. Like you got to have focus. It's not
Oh,
about
that's true. That's true.
how much capacity. Yeah, it is about the mind over matter. Doing it.
That's
precision,
true.
a
Germany,
method.
they could definitely do that. Okay.
That was not a
Okay.
slight.
Efficiency. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone
I
shoot
was
twice.
approaching this
Only
as
twice.
a problem and solving it.
Okay. Problem solving it. All right.
I mean,
I would-
whatever team I'm on is who's winning.
See,
the
I mean, if it was a drinking competition, I'd back my Aussies. I'm gonna go the Scots. I reckon the Scots could smash it.
did the Italians go this year?
They are absolutely, yeah, absolutely Italians.
The Italians win that.
There you
Easy.
That's pretty good. Yeah, that's not a bad pick at all. All right,
There we go.
solved.
Okay, we're moving on.
Solved.
That's
Done, we did it. Okay.
it.
So, what will be the first Guinness World Record that is related to Warhammer?
The eating competition, obviously. No.
Oh, most
Solved.
consecutive ones rolled on a charge.
Oh damn. Oof. Yeah.
Ooh.
Nobody wants that title.
Ooh.
Yikes.
Nobody wants it, but yet somebody has it.
I mean, that would,
Um,
if you want to go in terms of Warhammer related in the Guinness book, that would be like under the worst luck, like the world's worst luck.
I was gonna
So-
say, but it has to be like specific to Warhammer. And
Yeah.
that's,
Do you know? So the t-shirts this year. They're starting to do meme t-shirts of classic WTC, like memes, things that have happened in the past. Do you guys remember the Cruit Wall? The guy who scouted the Cruit Wall.
Of course.
That's been cartooned and put on a t-shirt, and that guy is at the event this year. I went up and shook his
Really?
hand. I'm like, I fanboyed out for that guy. I woke up and shook his hand and said, "Sir, I just want to thank the man who made the meme and thank you for your contribution to our fine community." And I patted him on the back and walked off. And but the quickest competitive game ever, because there are so many games that will last
Mhm.
5 seconds, 5 minutes. That game didn't even start.
Yep. Negative 20 seconds.
So maybe that's it. The quickest competitive
competitive
tabletop game. Yeah.
Okay.
that would be hard to beat. I think my shortest one ever has been like 7 minutes.
I've been like my turn one happened. Game
quickest competitive tabling.
Yes, because he was literally tabled.
Because he literally tabled
his
them.
army. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that's it. We got it solved again. We are good at this.
Jeez, man, you're killing it. All right. What country has the most Warhammer players per capita?
It's
USA.
Per capita?
It's England. It's straight up. It's England.
Yeah, I think it's England.
Yeah, I actually spent quite a bit of time this weekend with Zach Addington. He runs all the LGT. He's got the lead. Shout out to the Leeds Super Major that's happening over course in Leeds this weekend. He literally flew there after having like a couple of drinks with the boys last night. He was talking to me how even like backwater little towns have a freaking G-dub brick and mortar. Like there are just there's just little communities in every town there. And I'm like, I just think it has to be.
Well, it's where it's from, right? Like it's
exactly.
It's hard to not compete with where it's built and where it's just. That's where it lives. So
say the line, Dustin.
Why? I don't want to do it.
Solved. It's supposed to say solved. Never mind.
Solved. Solved.
We're gonna get that on a T-shirt. Just use
solved. That's what we're gonna say whenever I can lock in one of my teams instead of nail it or something. Just solved. Who's gonna win? This guy. Solved.
I go here.
We didn't do the competitive one.
Oh, we
did.
Did we? Oh,
we
what country has the most competitive Warhammer players per capita?
USA.
I'm gonna. I could almost say Australia,
though,
because we have so few people in the country. I could almost say Australia.
Oh yeah, could be. Yeah.
What's
but I'm sure
competitive though. I know it's Fuego.
As in, I'd say anybody who attends like some in the region of either more than 3 or more than 5 events a year, I'd say are competitive.
Well, what about? I would actually go closer to like Poland if all of their events are based around making their team.
Ooh, that's true. That's a good call, actually. That's a really good call.
Like per capita, that's what I would go with.
Yeah, no, that's actually a good one. Yeah, one of the Heartland European nations would absolutely be it.
Like
they're ultra focused.
They know what they're doing with them. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I played them at WTC when I last went, and they're a freaking solid team. One of the best competitive games I've ever played. So like they are hardcore and they are good. So it makes sense to me. So
Paul
solved.
Paul stopped listening after he said America. So okay, we're moving.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know why we're talking about this still. Yes. What are you guys talking about?
The problem is, Paul, there's just too many people in your country. Yeah. That's it.
That's true. That is actually the problem with that.
Most dangerous place in the world to play Warhammer.
Ooh.
Oh, wherever that eating competition is happening.
Inside of a volcano.
I don't know. Middle of the Atlantic, on an oil rig or something, probably.
Ironically, they're actually playing Warhammer in the middle of the Atlantic.
Yeah, true. That's true. That's pretty hilarious.
We're talking about legit places that are actually being used to play. Probably the cruise.
Yeah.
Probably. There were tournaments actually being held.
I'm not saying it's dangerous, but we're talking about if it's something that's actually being played. The most dangerous.
Yeah.
Like
in the middle of the
ocean,
boat? Is pretty dangerous.
I mean,
being in the middle of the ocean, yeah.
Until we start playing games in submarines and an aircraft, I suppose by default it's cruise. Like it's on a cruise, right?
When you start like hitting waves, like models start going up and shit. Models flying everywhere. That'd be actually a lot of fun.
It would.
Is it solved? Did we solve it again?
That's it.
Well, unless we're talking about like an actual dangerous place that you wouldn't, in good conscience, play on, like I said, inside a volcano or something stupid like that.
I will say that doing shows and stuff, you hear a lot from the military folks that are out there and like we're playing wherever we are,
true.
and so much respect for folks out there doing it, playing with bottle caps and that kind of stuff.
Like on floor hammer.
Yeah, like game if you can, and appreciate people doing it. So anybody is out there in a place doing it and you can do it. Mad props.
So probably not solved, but we're gonna
solved.
We're gonna move on. Okay, does your 40K team have a tradition or secret handshake? And what are they? I'm gonna add that.
Well, it's a secret, man.
No,
well, we can't tell you what the secret is.
It's what happens in Fuego stays in Fuego. So I think you're fine.
I know it doesn't. It stays on the internet forever.
Before every team tournament, I do that speech from any given Sunday.
I was about to say that the Americans do the Independence Day speech.
Oh my God,
that'd be good.
Somebody's got to do that. It's got to be Nathan too.
Yeah, Nathan. The Aussies have a bunch. Most of them involve getting absolutely blotto drunk in the preceding days. But before every round, we'll huddle up in together and we'll do a chant. We'll do like an Aussie, 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 and then we'll scream out something obnoxious. Lately, it's been BDE. And you can, if you know what that means, you'll know what that means. And so they'll go Aussie, 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 and then we'll just be like, it's just to be obnoxious. It's just to be obnoxious and silly, and we love it.
That's cool.
That makes sense.
What does Team Canada do, Dustin?
Well, we always have a chant before every round.
Say sorry a lot.
Well, that's actually what I was going to say. Because the last time we went there, we did win favorite opponent. So we went up on stage, and it was funny because a lot of us didn't realize we actually got called up for it. So a bunch of us were late getting up on stage. So we were actually up there saying sorry. We say that a lot, and we didn't realize it, but apparently we do. Sorry.
Champions.
Solved?
That's our show this week. Yeah.
The show solved.
Solved it.
Yeah, I do. Appreciate everyone tuning in live. Appreciate everybody listening after the fact. Do not forget to like, share, subscribe. Please leave us 5-star reviews. That is one of the ways. If you leave comments, you hit the like, you hit the buttons and stuff. That is one way that kind of tells the algorithms that other people may find us. So we really appreciate that, and it's something you could do. There's no hassle. Hopefully, very little hassle to y'all. We appreciate you tuning in. If you made it this far, I hope you enjoyed the Fuego. Something we do each and every week. It's a little bit of a palate cleanser. It's fun for us. Hopefully fun for y'all. If you have any questions or topics you think would be great for that segment, send them in. Leave them in the chat. Be awesome. Other than that, we will see y'all next week. This has been a blast. I'm happy to be back. Be back next week, covering more tournaments. Know where the meta is. This is the place to be.
Thanks, everybody. Good luck to everybody at the WTC. Look forward to all the games, guys. Good luck. Go Canada.
Adios.
Good night, everybody.
Aussie.